boys and girls, and welcome back to Lucama Pajama Storytime. I'm Miss Pam, and so we're coming to the close of our summer. I know that's a little sad, but it's a new chapter, a new beginning, and so some of you will be starting new schools and going to new grades. You're going to make new friends, and sometimes when we go into new settings and we have new adventures, sometimes our attitudes are not the best. And we want to have positive attitudes, and we want to be able to pick out if someone is going through a little something, and maybe that's why their attitude is not a happy one or not a friendly one. So we're going to look at some stories. We're going to listen to some stories today and see if we can pick out the behavior and how they should actually maybe change the way it's coming across, because we want everybody to have a good experience this school year, right? Right. So our first story is called Buffalo Fluffalo by Aaron Cron. Buffalo Fluffalo. Let's see what happens. There once was a Buffalo Fluffalo. A snuffalo, scruffalo, surly old buffalo, who was ever so snarly and gnarly and tuffalo. I'm the Buffalo Fluffalo. I heave and I huffalo. Leave me alone because I've had enough-alo. Sounds like he doesn't want to be bothered. One day, when old Fluff was especially miffed, a hammy old ram clumped up with a gift. I noticed you like to take naps in the shade, so here's a big floppy wool hat that I made. Well, that seems nice. Ram, he mooed in a manner so tuffalo, you must go away. I must re-buffalo. I don't need your rammy old hammy old help. It makes me want to stammer and yammer and yelp. The ram slunk away with his warm, woolly stuffalo, and old Mr. Buffalo snarled and he snuffaloed. I'm the Buffalo Fluffalo. I heave and I huffalo. Leave me alone because I've had enough-alo. Quite the attitude, Mr. Buffalo. A prairie dog passed by mean Mr. Poofily. Excuse me, sir. I don't mean to sound goofily, but would you like to join me for flippies and funnels and romp and race in my tubular tunnels? Just wants to have a little race. Silly old weasel, cried Buffalo Fluffalo. I can't play in your tunnels on account of my puffalo. Leave me in peace. Go back to your burrow. Let me stomp around while I frown and I furrow. I'm the Buffalo Fluffalo. I heave and I huffalo. Leave me alone because I've had enough-alo. Just wanted to play with you. Then a squawky old crow perched on Fluffalo's horn, and Fluff looked at him with a sneer and a scorn. Hi there, old pal, said the crow with a smile. Want to chitter and chat and catch up for a while? Seems like a reasonable request. No way, Fluffalo huffaloed, his fur standing on end. I'm far too huffy to have time for friends. That's too bad, squawked the mangy old crow, because you seem like a guy I'd like to know. Just wanted to make friends. And just as Fluffalo reared up to shout, a dark doomy cloud blocked the sun out. With a rumble and a grumble and a bangy loud boom, the whole prairie and mountains were covered in dark. That seems scary. Then with one final thundery, blundery, the humpiest, heaviest cloud opened up, and down came the rain with a splash and a spluffalo right on the head of Buffalo Fluffalo. Seems like that didn't work out so well. Said the crow with a grin on his beak. Why, Buffalo Fluffalo's just a pipsqueak. Then Ram and Prairie Dog gathered to see. Then indeed Mr. Fluff was so very wee. So he wasn't all that big and scary. Look, cried the Ram, it's old Mr. Fluff, so little and piddle, all wet in the buff. Everyone gawked from the mice to the snakes, even the old scaly fish in the lakes. Fluff shouted out, don't look at me, I'm not little, I'm tough as can be. He shimmied and shook to repuff his fluff, then he snarled and he gnarled and stomped with a huff. I'm the Buffalo Fluffalo. I heave and I huffalo. Leave me alone because I've... Stop, said the Ram. You don't have to act tough. We like you just fine without all your puff. He's right, said the Prairie Dog, a smile in her eyes. You're great how you are, no matter your size. He's finding out some new things, huh? I am, sniffed Buffalo, who wasn't so fluffalo. I'm sorry for being so grumbly and tuffalo. Without my fluff, I'm tiny and missable. No, cawed the crow. You're huggly and snuggly and kissable. And all the creatures, from the bats to the bugs, comfort old Fluff with kisses and hugs. And that's how the story of Fluffalo ends, with a happy old buffalo snuggling his friends. And guess what? Sometimes you don't have to act tough and whatnot because you don't think you're what other people will like, but you're great how you are. And that's what Buffalo Fluffalo found out. That even though he didn't have all that puff and fluff, he wasn't missable. He was huggable, lovable, and kissable. And he was great just the way he was. And so are you. So remember that when you go back to school. You're great just the way you are. Okay? So now we're going to talk about Mr. Crabby Pants. And that's by Julie Gassman. Crabby Pants. That doesn't sound so good. Who would want to be around someone who was crabby all the time? This is Roger. He gets crabby a lot. There was the morning his older brother ate the last frozen waffle. Roger was stuck eating cereal. So Roger got crabby. Then there was the day Roger's class was supposed to go to the zoo. We cannot go to the zoo in a thunderstorm, his teacher said. So Roger got crabby. Seems like when things don't work out, he gets a little upset. And what about the day he fell asleep, waiting for his favorite TV show to come on? His mom let him sleep through the whole thing. There was only one thing to do. Get crabby. Get it together, Roger. You shouldn't be such a crabby pants, his older brother said. And that made Roger even crabbier. And he got a crayon and he started writing on the wall. Not crabby. I am not crabby. I'm not crabby. Not. I am not crabby. All over the wall. Not a good thing to do. Before he knew it, Roger was sitting in the naughty chair because his mom found that he wrote all over the wall, "I am not Crabby. I am not Crabby." Roger thought about what his brother had said, and something clicked. Crabby pants. That's what it was. It's the pants. Roger thought of all the times that he was Crabby. What did they all have in common? His pants. It was all clear now, and Roger knew just what he had to do. He knew just what he had to do. He figured it out. So the next morning, Roger showed his mom and dad how he had solved his Crabby problem. What is he doing with those scissors? Oh my God, Roger. Roger's mom and dad were not happy. And soon Roger was Crabby again. Maybe it wasn't my pants that were the problem, he thought. Maybe it just wasn't that at all. That night, Roger decided to take care of the Crabby pants problem once and for all. He has a solution. He's thinking it through. So the next morning, Roger's family discovered what he had done. "Isn't this great? Now no one will ever get Crabby again," said Roger. So Roger took everyone's pants and made them short. But he was wrong. And he was in trouble again. And he says, "I am not Crabby." So sometimes you know that you have a little something going on and you try to figure it out, but maybe you don't get it all the way. But guess what? Sometimes it's okay to not be okay, but don't take it out on other people. And I think that's what Roger was doing. He was just being Crabby all the way around because he didn't feel so good about it. But you have to know that sometimes you have to take a breath, breathe, and start over again. So I have one final story for you, Grumpy Monkey, and that is by Suzanne Lang. Grumpy Monkey. And Jim is having a very bad day. So let's find out what's going on here. Sometimes we have bad days, and it's okay to have bad days, but you got to deal with them. So one wonderful day, Chimpanzee woke to discover that nothing was right. The sun was too bright, the sky was too blue, and the bananas were too sweet. Wow, it's got a lot going on. Jim was confused. What's going on? Maybe you're grumpy, suggested Norman from next door. I'm not grumpy, said Jim. He looks a little grumpy. On his walk, he met Marabou. Jim's grumpy, said Norman. Why are you grumpy, Jim? Asked Marabou. It's such a wonderful day. Grumpy? Me? I'm not grumpy. But look at how you're standing, Marabou said. It's true, said Norman. You're all hunched. So Jim loosened up. Then he ran into Lemur. Jim's grumpy, Norman told Lemur. Why are you grumpy, Jim? It's such a wonderful day. Grumpy? Me? I'm not grumpy, said Jim. Your eyebrows look grumpy, said Lemur. It's true, said Norman. They're all bunched up. So he raised his eyebrows. Sometimes our faces kind of tell what we're feeling. Then he tripped over Snake. Oh no, said Norman. That's the last thing you need when you're feeling so grumpy. Grumpy? Me? I'm not grumpy, said Jim. Then why the frown? Said Snake. I think it's because he tripped over you, Norman whispered to Snake. So Jim put on a smile. Finally, Jim looked happy, but he didn't feel happy inside. Everyone wanted Jim to enjoy this wonderful day. You should sing with us, said the birds. Jim didn't feel like singing. You should swing with us, said the monkeys. Jim didn't feel like swinging. He just wasn't feeling it. You should roll with us, said the zebras. Jim didn't feel like rolling. You should stroll with us, said the peacocks. Jim didn't feel like strolling. You should lie in the grass. You should stomp your feet. Everyone thought they knew what Jim needed to do. You should take a bath and make a splash. You should hug someone. You should laugh. You should take a nap. You should eat old meat or some honey. You should jump up and down. You should sit in the sun. You should dance. Everyone thought they had the solution and the answer for what Jim needed to do. But Jim didn't feel like doing any of that. Why are you grumpy, Jim? Asked the others. It's such a wonderful day. I'm not grumpy, shouted Jim as he beat his chest. Wow. And he stormed off. Everyone's looking at him. Jim felt sorry, a little sorry for shouting at everyone, but mostly sorry for himself. I guess I am grumpy, Jim sighed. And just as he was starting to feel really sad, he came upon Norman. Norman was slumped. His eyebrows were bunched up. He was frowning. What's the matter? Are you grumpy? Asked Jim. No, I dance with porcupines, said Norman. So he got stuck with some quills from the porcupine, and I'm sure that didn't make him feel happy. Are you okay? Asked Jim. It hurts, but I'll probably feel better soon enough, said Norman. Are you still grumpy? Yes, said Jim, but I'll probably feel better soon enough too. For now, I need to be grumpy. It's a wonderful day to be grumpy, said Norman, and Jim agreed. And he already felt a bit better. So sometimes when you're not feeling your best, you just want someone to understand that you're not feeling your best, and that helps you to know that someone's there for you. So it's okay not to feel okay, but it's not okay to take your feelings out on other people and make them feel bad. As we could see, Jim, after he yelled and shouted at everyone that he wasn't grumpy, he felt a little bad about that. So just keep that in mind when you start this new school year, or even when you're at home with your family. If you're not feeling your best, maybe just let someone know how you're feeling and that you just want to be alone for a little while and move on. But I hope you enjoyed our stories today. So again, we had Buffalo Fluffalo, we had Mr. Crabby Pants, and we had Grumpy Monkey. So remember, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to take out bad feelings on others. Hope you guys have a great new school year and enjoy the remainder of the summer. I hope to see you at Lucama Public Library, and this is Miss Pam signing off. Bye-bye.